Good evening. You, you don't have to be so serious after the gavel. Welcome to the city of West Miami. Actually, today is a happy day, so smile. Welcome to the city of West Miami Special Commission meeting of Wednesday, July the 11th, 2018. For the invocation, Ms. Aguilar, please rise.
Thank you, and please rise. And let's thank the Lord tonight for all the members of the public that are here this evening, for Mr. Penna, for his family, and for the greater good of our city so that we may continue to prosper, thrive, and make a difference in Miami-Dade County. And I'd like to also pray for the well-being and the recovery of all those kids and divers that, the divers especially, that were so heroic in bringing those kids out of the caves in Thailand, and just for the difficult times that we're living in such tense moments in the world. We pray for those in need. We pray for the frail. We pray for our military personnel, our police officers and firefighters. And we praise you, God, every day. Thank you for all of our blessings.
Amen. Chiefs, for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Mayor Eduardo Mujina.
Present.
Vice Mayor Rhonda Rodriguez.
Present.
Commissioner Candida Blanca. Commissioner Juan Blanes. Commissioner Luciano Suarez.
Yes.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I would like to take item 10A out of order.
Yes, Mr.
Can you
Mayor.
read it, please?
Item 10, under new business special agenda items. Item 10A, swearing in of Mr. Juan Pena as acting city manager for the city of West Miami for the period commencing July 31st, 2018 through January 31st, 2019 by city manager Yolanda Aguilar.
Madam Manager.
Thank you. Thank you. Mayor, before I approach the center, I'd like to just very briefly say that while bittersweet, 35 years have come and gone, and it's a great day, but you cry when there's happiness and when there's sorrows.
I want
But
to ma-
nothing
Mayor,
gives me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Mayor, no,
Yes.
I just excuse her because after so many years, now she cry. Excuse her, please.
No, I always cry. But anyways, there's nothing that gives me more pleasure than passing on the baton to someone whom I have worked with for 35 years of my life. Tonight and for the next 180 days, commencing July 30th, as you all know, I close a chapter of my work life and leave it in the hands of Juan Pena, my friend and my colleague. Sorry.
Don't cry, please.
There is no better qualified individual to serve this city in that capacity than Juan Pena. He knows the city, its needs, and the resources that we need to fulfill the job that we have been commissioned by you to perform. Mr. Pena will serve the city and this commission with integrity, honesty, dedication, and loyalty. As a resident of this city, I know that I and we are in good hands. I pledge to stay involved and assisting in a volunteer capacity. I get to work for you and for free. During this brief transition, I congratulate Mr. Pena on this important moment in time in your life and your family as you prepare to lead the city. I wish you success, health, abundant blessings, and I will be your strongest supporter and your biggest cheerleader. And now I get the pleasure of swearing you in.
You you cry, I'm leaving. If you cry, I'm leaving.
Wait for your tears, Juan. In case you have tears too.
I rocked them. I rocked them.
Just try to help. I just try
I
to.
rocked When we started working here, we could see. Now we can't. You take the folder, you're the formal one, you know me. Please raise your hand, Juan, your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Juan J. Penna, solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution and will obey the laws of the state of Florida and the United States of America. That I will in all respects observe the provisions of the Charter and the ordinances of the City of West Miami and will faithfully discharge the duties of the acting city manager of the City of West Miami for the period of time commencing July 31st, 2018 through January 31st, 2019. 2019. So help me God. Congratulations.
See, he's following directions already. This is good.
You see?
This is good.
You see?
Well, you had a taste of that before.
Yeah, let's use the same pen.
It's official.
A lot of stories.
Well, with that, Mr. Penna, before you speak,
Go right ahead. You have the floor, it's your floor.
yes, anybody that wants to add anything except Commissioner Suarez? I'm gonna leave him for last.
Mine's very short. Should I call you acting manager? Not yet, right?
Not
until-
yet.
Okay. Mr. Penna, I very much am looking forward to working alongside of you and learning from you as I've learned from the city manager for the next 6 months. I'm looking forward to it with great anticipation.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward and for helping the city out in this way.
Not a problem. My pleasure.
I'd like to say that everything she said, but without crying,
Yes.
I said it. And I'd like to add that if there's somebody on this earth that can play baseball by himself, it'd be Mr. Penna. He can pitch and hit the ball at the same time. I've never seen anything like it, but he can do it. Thank you.
Just let me just make a very short description of Juan. Juan is the utility man. I mean, Juan is the 45 years you're working here, right?
37.
37? Oh, I thought it was more than
Almost,
that.
almost.
Well, 37 years. He has been doing everything in the city. Everything. And we cannot say no more that he always do the right thing. He works during the day, during the night, and very, very professional. And I tell you, Even sometimes, he put a serious face, but then, it's like the dog, like bark, but it's nice. So he make you believe that he is a Superman, and then he's an angel. So try to be an angel. So thank you very much for everything, Juan, and welcome to the position of city manager. I think it's going to be great, and I think everybody knows you in the city, and you know everybody. So I think it's going to be a great thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to add something very interesting. I know Juan Pena for quite some time.
Long time.
As a matter of fact, soon I'm going to have my 38th anniversary of my wedding, and Cari and Juan were at my wedding. I still have that video, both of you dancing. So that's how long I know Mr. Pena. And throughout the year, we have fought. As a matter of fact, I have challenged him many times in previous occasion. And I can tell you that I'm going to admit this in public. He has proved me wrong. I said, no, you can't do that. And then he has proved me wrong. And I take my hat to you. Looking forward working with you during this brief time. And I know you got the city in your heart. And I know we're going to move forward to greater times.
Thank you.
Thank you. And perhaps somebody in the audience might want to speak. Commissioner. Yes, you're here. Former commissioner. Well, go ahead. And then
I've been in the city for 53 years. I don't think anybody beats me. And I just want to say one thing. Next to the knowledge that Yoli has, there is no one here that can beat that and can replace that other than Juan. And I look at people differently. I don't look at people in the good times. Everybody's your friend when it's the good times. But when this city has been in the lowest, in a very dark hole, who was here? Yoli and Juan. So if anybody deserves this position, I think he deserves it. And I know from the bottom of my heart that he will do an excellent job. Congratulations to you and your family. And remember, I'll be watching.
thank you. Commissioner Sosa, please.
She needs no introduction. Everybody knows who Rebecca Sosa is.
No, but it's not Rebecca Sosa's term. I was seated in that table. It was your night, and it was for you to be the ones to speak, not for me. So I appreciate that gesture from you. And I have to say, West Miami is so special. This is a city that it's a family. And at the end of the day, so many years have passed, and Yolanda and Juan, come here, Juan, have been an example. And let me tell you why they have been an example. There was a time when Juan had to leave, and Yolanda took over to wait for him to come back. What a beauty that these two that have worked throughout the years together have been there for each other all the time. You are setting, both of you, an example, not only to this table and to all of us, but to the neighbors of this city. Because working together was the only way that this city was able to survive. I remember that there was a very dark day in this city many years ago when we had to fire everyone. And we did. And no one can do things on their own. We cannot build a temple on one column. One person doesn't do it. It's working together. It's with many minds together, like you say, Mr. Mayor, and the others, that we have been able. I know that Juan is going to do an incredible job because West Miami is in his heart. And the families there that are telling you that you better do it right. Because if not, they are going to come every day over here to the city. And Yolanda, I don't have to tell you, okay? Because it is what it is. And then if Luciano starts talking, Commissioner Suarez, then you're in trouble. And some that talk a lot and sometimes is quiet, I'm concerned. I commend you all for bringing this city to make sure that the city stays in the hand of people who really care, who really work hard for the city to continue what we started many years ago, and we will all hold hands because the reality is that we have to be here for each other. From the county side, I'm always here. From this side, you have always been here for me. So I thank you, Yoli, and
Thank you.
I cannot say goodbye because
No.
it's a stay. And Juan, get ready. I know you're ready. You don't have to learn anything. Congratulations to you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioner.
Thank you. Mr. Penna. Are you ready, Mr. Penna?
Yeah, we'll get through this. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I'm humbled by the trust and confidence you've placed in me by this appointment, Acting City Manager. I'm also thankful for the support of our District 6 Commissioner, Rebecca Sosa, and the friendship and support of Yolanda Aguilar. And also, I am thankful for and privileged to have the friendship of our council, Jose Villalobos. All the past elected officials and city residents, thank you for your presence here tonight. All of the West Miami directors, fellow employees, I thank you for your support and your presence here tonight. To my wife, Carrie.
You need a napkin?
I'll suck it up.
This is going to be a first for me because I've never seen them like that.
My kids, Yasmin, her husband, Javier, my grandkids, Olivia, James, my daughter, Vanessa, partner, Jessica, and son, Mike, my brothers and sisters, all my nieces, nephews, and their beautiful kids. We're a very big family, as you can see. And this is not all of it. My brothers-in-laws and sisters-in-laws that are here tonight, my father-in-law and mother-in-law, my mother, Victoria, and her husband. Thank for the support and love and confidence they all have in me. To all my friends and their families, thank you for being here. I started April of 1981, and I can't say I've ever wanted to go anywhere else other than the city of West Miami. The city of West Miami, as Rebecca said, is a very special place in this large county of Miami-Dade. We who live here and have worked here can attest to that fact. I promise that I will perform to the best of my abilities and serve and protect the standards and interests of the city of West Miami and its residents at all times. This is a great experience for myself and one that I plan to excel with my support of all my colleagues, the chief, deputy chief, the captain, the directors, our city clerk, our administrative assistants, and our very capable staff, and also the retired volunteers that are coming back. Free help is always welcome. I am at your service and ready to make this a seamless temporary transition. Thank you all for being here. You've made this day memorable because you're all here for me and for my family. Thank you.
Well, with that,
Picture?
oh, that's
Family
right,
picture,
pictures.
Mr. Mayor?
Picture time, picture time. You're absolutely right. Come forward. Madam Manager, you haven't lost your touch.
You are so bad. Why are you Tenemos que llamar 911.
Entonces sí, no hay que llamar al rescue. Entonces ya cambia, tú sabes. Coge aire. Ya. Dile que las majitas se suban. Dile que los más majitos se suban.
No, I guess. Está bien, right now.
Pues ignoró al manager. El manager lo mencionó a él. Y él mira, se queda mira.
Es que yo no voy.
No, sí.
Yo soy selectivo en mi vida.
Él es para lo que le conviene, blind color, en here color. No, color blind, en here blind, a lo que le conviene.
Tengo una corbata igual que esta.
Ah, pues imagínate, güey. Debiste haberte la puesta, güey. Te venir en grupo.
We need a step ladder. We need.
Son 500, ¿sabes?
One, two, three, cheese. Vamos a dejarlos ahí.
No, ahora vienen las VIP people. Ahora va el chief. Pepe, vete tú para allí con el... Dale, Pepe. Dale. El chief y el manager. Va el chief ahí.
Me han llamado.
Dale, we're telling you.
¿Para qué? Yo te voy a arreglar la foto.
Te vas a llevar como mano, dale.
El que lo mete en la cárcel y el que lo saca. Me dijo una vez, George Salsini, allá estaba, y me dijo, yo si te pasa algo tan que digo para sacarte de la cárcel, y si no, pues me meto en el calabozo contigo.
Es verdad, así está.
Ya que viene Dani ahora, o sea, eso es nada más que para chief y ya.
Está metido todo el mundo ya.
Tenía que tratarse con la comisionada.
Ahora sí te la voy a tomar.
Ahora bien, la comisionada.
Vamos a hacer algo si tú me dejas. Ok. Este caballero que está aquí, muchos años.
Y la pata de mi jabón.
Eso es la mamá. Es la mamá de
De uno ahí. Happy birthday to you. Sí, la abuela, aplaude.
Tú lo sabes. Oye, mira, buena nena.
¿Quieres para allá? Ve.
Mira, de left out. ¿Qué es eso?
Ve, ve.
No, mira. No, I say you guys left us. We were talking about you right now because you left us out. No, just kidding.
Ve para acá, vete.
We were talking about it. Just kidding.
Tira otra, tira otra. ¿Era mejor así?
No. So, no more photos? Well, let's take a break, and let's enjoy the company and the pastries.
Okay, so show me him and his family. I know who his wife is, but I don't know any, like, is this his daughter? I don't know who's the family. Oh, then I'm obviously the wrong person. Forget you.
No, I know most of it.
I only know his wife. I don't know anyone else. Don't point. Okay, so who's who? You don't know, I'm asking, so I know who's curious. ¿Quién es la mamá? De él. Eso es Niel, eso es Niel. Y una señora de pelo medio rubio. No, una de pelo cortico. Feliz tiene la edad de Niel. Vamos.
Bueno, vayan a comer bocadillo. ¿Están invitados a comer? Comer el bocadillo, ¿están ahí?
Okay, no, that's pretty much it. Okay, because I didn't know who was who. Really, I've never seen this. Okay, I didn't even he mentioned that here, but I didn't know who to put with what name. So, okay. Who? Sister? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, yes. Yes. Yes, it's his sister. Okay. Yeah, you told me everything. Perfecto. Now I know. Hola, Susan. I think he said. Yeah, we opened the party, yeah.
Y te digo, when Armando wasn't sick, it was pretty much really good porque me quemé como las niñas a mí. Pero lately, it's been down. Ya hablaremos. Acaba de irte, Venga, bye, ya. ¿Qué? Busquen, ya.
Está lleno, sorry.
Ay, Dios mío. Que se iba. Aquí todo el mundo. Hasta Juan, oye, hasta Juan.
He took care. Okay, we're back. Madam Clerk, I would like to take an item out of order, and that will be item, let's see, item E,
Item 10E.
10E.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 10E, this is a discussion regarding vacation rentals. This is by Vice Mayor Rodriguez.
Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, this is on our agenda this evening as a discussion item. If you remember back, I believe at the last meeting, I asked Dr. Bayan that we pursue this situation that we're having. So I took the liberty of inviting to our meeting this evening two new residents, a young couple from new residents from the city of West Miami that they bought in West Miami because their family spoke so highly of West Miami. And their house is beautiful. And since moving in, they have had the, what should I call it, not pleasure, or the situation of living directly next door to a shared vacation rental home. Now, you've heard me tell you the stories, you know, of the bad situation that this is, but I thought I would like you to hear it directly from the resident, not from me, so that you can truly have an understanding of the predicament that this type of business has put on our city. Because, as I said before, it is a business. It is a burgeoning business that companies are making a lot of money off of. And yes, I know Miami-Dade County has approved it, and I realize we cannot outright ban it because we're preempted by state law. But as I said before, we're so small that 1, 2, or 3 for us is a huge, huge problem. So I'd like to welcome to the podium Victoria and Khalil Madani. They're going to share their experience of living next door to a shared vacation rental property.
Please come forward. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Victoria Madani. My address is 6247 Southwest 16th Street. Mr. Mayor, Ms. Vice Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for having us. We moved into the city of West Miami right before Christmas of last year, so we've been residents a little bit more, over 6 months now. When we first moved into our home, on one side there's been a family who's lived in West Miami for 30 years. They welcomed us very nicely to the neighborhood. And the house to our left had a rental property to a family, didn't bother us or anything like that, but within a month, they left that property. And since then, the property to our west has been operated as an Airbnb rental. We've had numerous occasions that we found out that it was an Airbnb rental a day that the police came to stop a fight that was going on at the property. There were some very unsightly young gentlemen that were drinking beer in the front yard. It was a Sunday morning, and we remembered because we had gone to church. We went to Publix, and we came back, and there were 2 police officers parked in front of our brand-new house. We were shocked. They had been called to the property because one of the other neighbors saw these men fighting in the backyard, and she called to, prevent them from getting hurt further. On other nights, we've had a bachelorette party of 8 young women coming to stay in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. We found the house on Airbnb. It's rented as individual rooms. It doesn't say that, but that's how it's actually rented for $60 a night. So you can imagine the type of people that are actually staying at this property. It's not, a family who's staying at a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house for a week. We're getting bachelorette parties. One time it looked like there were carnival workers who were staying there because a young lady came looking for her cell phone that she had lost at the fair, and the iPhone was pinging to our house. So she thought we had stolen her iPhone, and we just told her no, but it might have been the people at the Airbnb, and we have no control over that. But perhaps the most frightening thing that happened to us was, it was Cinco de Mayo weekend, and I was actually out of town that weekend. My husband was home alone. And about 9:45 at night, we have a Ring doorbell so we can see who's coming near our property. Someone approached our home at 9:45 and we have an electronic, door lock, started trying to get into our home, entering codes. He could hear them, playing with our doorknob. Saw the camera, and saw there was a family standing outside. My husband doesn't speak Spanish, they only spoke Spanish, so he calls me to translate. Turns out the owner of the Airbnb gave them our address as the home where they thought they were renting. So they were trying to gain access to our home as the purported rental. Tried to explain to them, no, it's the house next door. Oh, well, we already had a package sent from Amazon to your home, so we're gonna come get it tomorrow. Those people could have delivered God knows what to our home, coming every single day, checking my mailbox. It was a complete invasion of privacy. And that's just one of the few things that just keeps happening. We don't have kids, but with the type of people that have been staying there, I would be very concerned with having young children, within a couple feet of that property, because they don't have, other than like a limited fence, there's nothing to prevent those people from coming over to our property or potentially robbing, robbers that come and stay there for $60 a night, having access to our area. We live on 16 and 62nd, right by the park, right by the elementary school. So I understand that this can't be banned, and I'm not suggesting that it be banned, but I think it needs to be regulated, especially in certain parts of the neighborhood where there is a park nearby, there is a school nearby, to keep potential sexual offenders from staying at those properties. There's no way to regulate who's there. This property is owned by an LLC. They are absent owners. They're, other than maintaining it, by having a landscaper come or a housekeeper come after the people move out, they don't know who the people are that are staying there. They don't know when they get there, when they leave. They even say in the ad, we don't live near the property, so if you need any assistance, we can't help you. So that's one of the things is, it's kind of like they're off on their own, and then when the people have problems, they try to go to the neighbors to ask for help, and that's not our responsibility either. So I appreciate that maybe you guys would consider, some form of regulation of these properties. I know that there's some limited properties. This is kind of like a new thing that's coming up, and I do think that as more and more people are exposed to it, we might be seeing more and more in the neighborhood. We're unfortunate enough to be next to one of the ones that I think cheap enough that people are actually staying at it. So thank you for your time.
Victoria, thank you. Khalil, thank you so much for taking the time to come and expressing your concerns and the situation that you've unfortunately been put in. We are going to discuss it tonight, and you have my word, we are going to work on this. I promise.
Thank you, and I'm sorry that you are going through whatever you're going through, and we'll, yes.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
We absolutely will talk about that,
Yeah,
yes.
tonight is for discussion.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're
thank
welcome
you.
to stay for the discussion, or if you have to leave, I completely understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
For bringing it forward.
And Mr. Mayor, I believe we have one more
Okay.
person.
Something happened to the
Is the
microphone.
mic working? No.
It's disconnected, please.
Oh, we heard Victoria perfectly. She didn't.
Is it working now? Okay. Tanya Rosio, 6536 Southwest 22nd Street. I'm glad that I'm here tonight and I'm looking at this because no more than 3 weeks ago, I don't know how the conversation came up, but somebody told me that there were rooms available in West Miami, and I said, it's impossible. These are private properties as far as I've known all my life. And I went into Airbnb and I found 7 properties. And they weren't houses. There were houses that had like a garage that was enclosed. They had a private entrance. The doors were by numbers, like she says that she has in her home. They had a kitchenette. And as far as I can remember, the regulations in the city, isn't that prohibited? That you cannot have an efficiency in your house with a kitchenette?
I believe so.
And the minimum stay was 3 days. And they were renting as low as $47 a night. They didn't look at anything, no regulations, just come, rent it, they give you the code, and you could come in. But what I was amazed that when I looked particularly for rooms, not homes. And I found 7 of them. There's one that's a block and a half away from my house. And I went by the house, and I saw the picture on the internet, and I saw the picture of the house. It even has lines, yellow lines that were painted on the driveway, and it had designated parking for apartment. And I said, what is this? My concern is I live in a community where it's residential. It's private individual houses, apartments, whatever. I don't think that's correct. I think it's a violation of the rules as far as I understand. And I would like for this discussion to continue, and I'd like to be part of it if you would allow me, because I don't think this is right, and this is not right for the people around those homes. There's one that's right directly behind the park. And, you know, we're taxpayers and we're decent residents. Why should we have to live next to these situations? I agree totally with them.
Thank you, Tanya.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Tanya.
Mr. Mayor, as I was saying, thank you all for sharing your experience with us. As we've discussed in the past, briefly, this is of great concern to me. This is a situation that's happening. It's only going to get worse. It's going to grow in size because of our location. It's all about location. We're so central that we would be prime location for this type of vacation rental, where the renters would have access to pretty much everything. So,
Before you close, I don't want to, does anybody else wants to speak on the subject?
Mr. Mayor?
perfect.
I would recommend it. I'm so sorry. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, I would recommend that we hear from our Chief Code Enforcement Officer. As you know, Mr. Penna has had to designate Martin Garcia as Chief Code and Officer in the coming days, but he has an update that I think will be enlightening to all of us and, you know, for the members of the community to know how many he's been able to identify and how we go about trying to get compliance and enforcement.
Good evening, Martin Garcia, like the city manager says, acting Chief Code Enforcement. The vice mayor is correct. There's currently 10
worse than I thought.
within the city boundaries. We've been able to identify 4. And what I've been using is, like she stated, is the multifamily. What they're doing is they're either closing off the garages and converted them into a multifamily. There's 2 of them that I use a bogus email because that's the only way you're going to find out the address, is for you to go through the registration form. So I register, like her, on 16th Street, and what you're renting is 1 bedroom for $90 a night. You share the bathroom, you share the kitchen. Okay, you don't know who's going to rent bedroom number 2. All right, it is a big problem. I have been talking on a daily basis with my director to see how we could get a better handle because it's getting to be widespread. Like I said, I've been able to cite 4 so far. I shut down one of the apartment complex on 67th Avenue. The leaser leased an apartment, and she was not residing there. She was renting it as an Airbnb. When I brought it to the management, they were not aware of it, and it's a violation of the lease. So that person right now is being evicted based on an email that they sent us. So it is a growing problem. And in order for us to get a better handle, we need some type of direction from this commission how you want us to proceed, okay? Like she says, I know we cannot totally close them down, but we have to regulate them, you know?
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So ladies.
Back to you,
Yeah,
Vice
ladies
Mayor.
and gentlemen, as you've heard, this is a business, and I would prefer that these business owners don't make money because of us. I know we can't ban them, but my goal would be to heavily regulate to the utmost legal possible way, heavily regulate, and make it so difficult that they don't want to do business here. And I say business because it's a business, no doubt, it's a business. It's causing a lot of problems. up in North Florida and obviously the beach communities. That's where you're seeing the most problem. And I'm very glad that Martin brought that out because I have read about where they're subletting. A person will lease an apartment, and then that leasee will lease to a shared vacation rental platform. So that is of grave concern to me because it's infecting not even the residential part now, but also the commercial corridor. We're going to be surrounded if we don't get a handle on it immediately. Our city attorney has been diligently working on an ordinance that will come before us. It's good. It's good. It has a lot of what I've read. It has a lot of substance. It's got teeth. What I don't want to have is an ordinance or a regulation that's a lot of my favorite saying, Madam Manager, blah blah blah. I want something in writing that we can enforce, that manpower can enforce. Because if we can enforce it, why even put it on paper? So I want to be able to enforce it. Manpower-wise, I want to be able to enforce it in the sense that, there are certain consequences that if you don't comply with our regulations and our rules, you're going to feel it. So that is my goal. I'd love to hear your thoughts, suggestions.
Well, let's do the following. This has a formal process,
correct.
and we kind of jumping the gun. We brought it for discussion. And so, first of all, what I want to hear is if you're in agreement or disagreement, if we have or if you want to add anything to it. And then the proper procedure is if we have an overall majority, then we'll go to the next step and the next step. And I'm sorry to be but we have to follow the rules as the attorney. You agree? Are you in agreement?
I'm in total agreement.
Commissioner Suarez?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So then,
I'd like to also, if Madam Manager has anything to say, or if the attorney, as a discussion point, not as a procedural, but as a discussion point, if, now that, Marty spoke, if they have anything they'd like to add on the record.
Madam Manager?
Mr. Mayor, I agree with everything that has been said. I think this is a disservice to the citizens of the city of West Miami. If we don't tackle it by enforcing the tools that code enforcement needs to be able to get some sort of handle on the situation, it's going to deteriorate our quality of life. And I believe that you, as the elected body of the city of West Miami, will start to receive a lot of criticism from the community, as well us from the administrative standpoint. And so I believe that the sooner the better. We've had conversations with the city attorney, as you know, since you brought this up months ago, Madam Vice Mayor. Juan Pena and I have been involved, the city clerk has been involved. And so I believe that Mr. Villalobos has diligently and very profoundly looked at all the issues involving vacation rentals. And he would be ready to present a first reading. If you all agree that you want to pursue this route, I think we would be ready to present the first reading on the ordinance on the 18th of July. I know that's going to be a long meeting because of the submittal of the budget and everything else. But I think this is just as important because it goes right to the heart of quality of life. And so if you allow it, Mr. Mayor, since we're going through the discussion process, then we need some direction to place it on the agenda.
Very simple. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
July
You got
18th,
a
first
blessing.
reading. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all for
Thank
being
Thank
here.
you.
And
I'm
we're really
ready for
sorry
the first reading of the ordinance.
He's ready.
by the
You're
way.
ready.
We're ready. So Victoria Khalil, the next meeting is a first reading. There's no discussion.
It's a week from
You're
tonight.
welcome to be here, but it's just a first reading where we put it on the agenda. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Madam Clerk, any suggestions about taking anything out of order or just going back to the original order of the agenda?
Okay, I think item 9A, maybe there were.
9A?
The city engineers here.
Okay, I think that would be a great idea. Since our city engineers are here, Mr. Mayor, if we
Okay.
could take up this issue.
Yes,
Okay.
item 9, under all business, A, discussion and possible reconsideration in reference to interlocal agreement between the City of West Miami and Miami-Dade County regarding the jurisdiction by Miami-Dade County over local roadways. This item was deferred from the May 2nd, 2018 City Commission meeting and was brought by Mayor Mujina.
Thank you. The reason this item is on the agenda is, as you know, last time we had a meeting. In this item, we didn't have a consensus as to sign the agreement. The reason it's here before us tonight is there was a telephone conversation that took place, and I know the manager is going to talk a little bit about it. But basically, it went something like this. As you know, we applied for a grant. Not for a grant. We applied to get monies for a traffic study, which is way overdue. And the conversation went something like this. You are not, and I'm very simple, in simple term. It doesn't look like you're going to get the grant because you haven't signed the interlocal agreement with Miami-Dade County. Okay? So, I bring it up for discussion, for you guys to think about it, rethink about it, and then I will tell you, because I don't want to waste time with this, if the agreement is to your satisfaction, and when I say to your satisfaction, is to a collective effort of the commission, we'll move forward, but I want to put one caveat there. If they say, well, we're not going to get it, well, we'll turn around, okay? We'll sign the agreement as long as we get those $40,000. I mean, and I'm sorry, I'm very black and white. So it's my opinion, my personal opinion. I'm not putting anything, but I just want to tell you how I feel about it, because every time that I vote on an item or have my opinion on an item, I always say, if it's no, why? And if it's yes, also why? So we had discussions about that, this is kind of common. So, but I remember also other discussions where, if it's common, why do we have to sign it? So nevertheless, it's open for discussion tonight. And also, of course, I want to hear from the manager. I want to hear especially from our city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Echoing your words, and the conversation was a nice conversation with Oscar Camejo. Is that his name, Frank? He's with Miami-Dade County Metropolitan Planning Organization. As you know, you were provided with a copy of a letter saying that our city was entitled to receiving an amount of up to $40,000 for a traffic study. This is for an application for funding that Mr. Ruano, who's a great grant writer, wrote on behalf of the city of West Miami with the help of T.Y. Lin, obviously our police department and our office and Public Works. So I get a phone call a couple of days after the last meeting, and I get a call from Mr. Camejo, who advises me that in reviewing the paperwork, his office realized that we had not entered into an interlocal agreement with Miami-Dade County. The interlocal agreement deals with the jurisdiction of the roads. And that was indefinitely deferred at the May 2nd meeting. I contacted the city clerk and I asked her to provide us with copies of the minutes and the agenda so that I could refresh my recollection of what occurred. And at that time, there was a presentation by a lady by the name of Doraida Fernandez from Miami-Dade County. And you all decided that it was not in the best interest of the city at that time to enter into that agreement. I believe that if we don't have an agreement in place, we may not be able to capture the $40,000 that they may place that money in some sort of escrow or reserve account or something until such time the city has an executed agreement. My job is to bring it to you. I brought it to the mayor's attention. We discussed it with our city engineers, and Mr. Pena and I spoke about it. And we felt it was important to bring it back for your consideration so that we can get marching orders. I need to, as a matter of fact, we just submitted to the county the project, the objective of the project, and the deliverables, the project schedule, and a budget that was prepared by T.Y. Lin based on what the study is going to encompass. And by the way, you guys did a very thorough job at what we aim to capture in that, and I'll make copies of that for the commission. I didn't have time today, but that being said, that's in the hands of the county, and what I don't want is so that, I want the follow-up so that you understand that if we don't get the money, it's not because we didn't do a good job applying for it. It's because there is an agreement that is not in place, and you may want to revisit it at this time. And so that's why it's before you again today.
So you got my version, and now you got the one that was sugar-coated.
There's Trumpism in your wisdom there and your caveat, and I agree.
Anybody else?
Yeah. You want to
No,
say
go
something?
right ahead.
No, go ahead. Ladies
No,
first.
no, you go
ladies.
first.
Go,
I
go ahead.
always go first. You go first.
Go
I want to
ahead.
hear what you have to say.
Ladies first.
I want to hear what you have to say. Go. No, for real, go.
No, because I like you go first because I know you are going to, after me, you are going to say something. So
No?
go ahead now.
Well,
tell you what,
come
I'll
on.
speak
We don't have all night.
Okay.
I want to go
Let's
home.
flip a coin.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have a few concerns. Madam Manager, when we applied for this grant, did we know of that prerequisite or of that requirement?
No. That was not included in the notice of funding availability. That was not part of the condition of the grant.
So as an afterthought, and I do appreciate everything the county does for us and working with us. So this seems to have come as an afterthought that, well, not even saying they'll give us some money, but they'll allow us to apply for the grant if we sign this. Is there a guarantee that if we sign it, we'll get the grant?
I'm sorry?
Is there a guarantee that if we sign this, that money is guaranteed to us, or no?
We've been issued a notice of award for an amount of up to $40,000. I mean,
Right.
if we continue delivering what they're asking for in terms of the paperwork and the deliverables and the budget and everything as we have, then I don't see a problem. However, the only stumbling block may be the issue of the agreement.
Right, but is it written somewhere that if we do sign this, they are guaranteeing us?
No. No.
Okay. That's concern number one. Concern number two is, according to a memo that I have from the meeting I had with Frankie, I'm sure we all sat down with Frankie. And if you allow me to read this into the record, per section 2-95 and 2-96.1 of the Miami-Dade County Code of Ordinances, the county has exclusive control over all our traffic control and traffic engineering services in Miami-Dade County, including municipal and unincorporated areas. This means that the county is the sole authority that can allow for any changes in traffic patterns, calming, road closures, signage, signals, etc. This ILA that we're referring to, this interlocal agreement, confirms that. Is that not something you wrote for us, Frankie?
Yes.
So my
that's
point
correct.
is, if it's already written, what is the purpose of this? The ILA confirms that everything is there. So what is the real significance or purpose of this ILA? I'm sorry, I'm be sure I don't use an acronym, of this signing this interlocal agreement. And thirdly, have all the other municipalities signed it? Where are we in that order? My questions and concerns.
We live together. We're just gonna marry them now.
But if it's already there, what is this for?
Mayor, may I now?
Yes.
All right. Let me wrap around this because last time this item was on the table, I was concerned about it. I thought our vote was for about the rights of our streets. And then, when I get involved in this totally, we have intergovernment agreement, intercity agreement with Coral Gables, with the city of Miami, with the county, for the police department. We have different interlocal. Now, the point is that the county is, when it was created in 1954, is the umbrella over the 34 cities for the control the traffic movement in the county to avoid the chaos. Because the big umbrella regulate more the flow of the traffic in all the area. Each municipality keeps you right. But the idea is to control the flow in the whole county. Now, with the county agreement, and if you read the termination, if you read the standards, the maintenance liability, we don't lose the right over our street, but the county have the power to control the signs, to control the way that the traffic is going to move in the whole area. That's a big difference, the concept, that we are, just giving away our rights. No, we're giving them right to control the movement of the traffic in the whole area. Now, the point with the traffic study is that before any municipality go inside, get the intergovernmental agency agreement with the county, before that, and one of the necessary things is to have the traffic study. Without the traffic study, cannot be done the intergovernmental agreement with the county. Now, we are asking money for that traffic study. But this particular agreement is not for I sign and you pay me for the sign. No. Is that in order to get in this contract, in this type of agreement, the first thing they need is a traffic study for each municipality. Do that. So I think that we will get the money for the traffic study. But if we do not apply for the intergovernment agreement, we will never get the money because we cannot have it without the traffic study. We need the traffic study to do this agreement. And that is why it's necessary, the traffic study. Because the first thing one of the first things they ask is for that. So I think when we ask for the money, this agreement asks for one of the first things they need is a traffic study. We are not signing this in order to get the money. We are not buying things for that. But the traffic study is necessary for this. That's the idea. And that after I read all this, I don't know the recommendation of you, the engineers. You have any recommendations?
My opinion is solely based on what the ILA does technically for the city, and I've given my opinion to all of you. From the point of view of just a technical point of view, there's two major points. It's that we're basically acknowledging there's the part of it about acknowledging the county's ordinances, but what the function of the ILA is basically for the city to take, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Certify that we have jurisdiction over all these traffic circles that we've put in, that we're the ones responsible for maintaining them and all that. It's just setting the responsibility. Because per the county code, they're responsible for all those traffic devices, so they want to clarify that these traffic devices that we've installed are under our jurisdiction and we're going to maintain them. So it clarifies that, and then secondly, it sets a process going forward for how we approve and how we build more traffic calmers down the line. So it gives the city some leeway, and you can build these certain traffic calmers without our approval. And these other things that you want to do, you still need to come to us for approval. So it just sets the framework going forward, and then looking backwards, it says the things that we built, we're going to maintain. So the ILA, the guts of the ILA is just that, those two major points. Now, the ILA on the first line makes that statement regarding whereas per ordinance, blah, 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 that they have jurisdiction over all traffic operations. So that's kind of the sore point where it's acknowledging that. But from a technical point of view, it's really, it gives the city, to me, it gives the city some leeway going forward and what we can design, what we can install without their approval. And it basically just, puts in paper that we're maintaining these traffic circles that we've already installed, which we already maintain anyway, but it puts it in writing.
Well, Mayor, after what I said, and after what Alonso, the engineer, said, I make a motion to approve this because we need this.
I disagree. We need to, first of all, I'm sorry, with all due respect, but when you spoke, I got thoroughly confused, rather than the more, I mean, I understand which, by the way, Mr. Alonso, opinion, it's his opinion, and we respect it. He's our city engineer, but this piece of paper that you have in front of you has not changed, as far as I know.
Has not.
From the time that it was presented to us, for us to sign that agreement. There's no change, so I don't want to jump into making a motion. As a matter of fact, this is coming over here for discussion. So the only reason is for discussion. So if we're in agreement that we should look at this further, I don't want to just forget everything that we talked about here. And I mean, I think we summarize it. We all have been very eloquent, except, Commissioner Blanes and myself. We said it very quickly, to the point.
Mayor,
And yes.
I make a motion. It's a motion on the table.
Okay, I call the vote.
I make a motion to approve the
I need a
the
second.
intergovernmental agreement.
I need a second.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, there's a point of clarification that we have to tell you. The agenda rules. The agenda reads as follows. Go ahead.
Discussion and possible reconsideration regarding interlocal agreement between the city of West Miami and Miami-Dade County regarding the jurisdiction by Miami-Dade County over local roadways deferred from the May 2nd, 2018 City Commission meeting. Mayor Mujina.
So what you have to do is reconsider it, but it's not in the agenda. There's no resolution in the agenda approving this issue. So the way that it was drafted is for reconsideration. In other words, what you have to move is to reconsider, and what you have to say is, it is our will to put it back on the agenda as a resolution,
With an accompanying resolution.
with a resolution, so you can approve the resolution, because there's no resolution in the agenda.
Okay. Commissioner Blanes.
I thought that I would be in favor if we use your caveat, the caveat that you stated that if we're going to get the money, then we agree to sign, and we can be, I guess, married.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir.
I said that with his caveat, the one that he spoke about earlier, that if we do get the grant, then we will sign and become partners.
That's not what the manager said.
I said it.
The mayor said it.
Oh, okay. What is that? Would you state
The
again, because
message,
I'm sort of confused.
the
with it.
message from the county, from Mr. Camejo, was the following. In reviewing our records and preparing the ILA for execution by both parties if the agreement, if the grant is issued, in our records reveal that you do not have an executed interlocal agreement with Miami-Dade County on the issue of the jurisdiction of the roadways. It would be beneficial if you had that agreement in place, because we want to make sure that once the monies through an interlocal agreement for the grant gets executed, that it doesn't get held up due to the fact that you don't have an interlocal agreement over the jurisdiction of the roads.
Let me cut through your chase. What I understand is that what they want is for you to sign the interlocal agreement first and then get the money.
That is correct.
Okay.
And then they
Now-
would be ready to execute the interlocal agreement governing the grant.
Okay, and what Vice Mayor asked you was this: do you have an assurance that even signing the interlocal agreement, that you're going to get the money? And the answer is either yes or you don't know.
I believe she already answered that. She told me no.
Okay.
Her answer to me was no, if I'm correct. Her
So,
answer to
The,
me was
the,
no.
the answer is what the letter says. You are eligible to receive a grant for the traffic study for an amount up to $40,000. It doesn't say 35,000 or 40,000, up to. So apparently they have a pot of money and they have not confirmed the $40,000 as being the exact amount. It says up to $40,000. Correct, Mr. Alonso?
That's correct. And we submitted a scope and a budget
Correct.
in excess of that. So, showing
Right.
that the city's providing a match.
And let me clarify something. If I remember correctly, there was a question that it was originally asked, and we never got the answer. And that question should be asked again, which is, which are the municipalities? Because according to what I heard the first time, everybody has signed this agreement. I said, okay, show me the list. And they haven't provided that list to us.
They have provided the
No, no, no,
list.
no,
They
no.
provided initially a
They initially
list.
provided a partial list.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
the only
I'm
list
sorry.
the only list that we've received was 16
17 municipalities.
And we have 34. So,
Yeah, since then they've stated that everyone has signed, but we haven't seen that in writing.
Right. I requested that for the record from Mr. Camejo. He said he was going to get back to us with that and provide us a list. He has not.
and it's very
And I
simple.
also asked him to put in writing the issue of the interlocal agreement. He has not.
It's very simple. It's very simple. We are elected by the citizens of West Miami. So we represent the citizens of West Miami, and we try to do what is best for us. And I understand the county side. If we were sitting on the county side, we'll be representing the whole Dade County.
County's
And
interest.
perhaps our vote will be different. So there's nothing wrong with what we're doing. We're trying to protect our own. And that's basically it. We can talk about all this. So bottom line, okay, I brought it for discussion because this happened and we need to make a collective effort. I suggest that doing nothing doesn't get you anywhere. So maybe we should bring it back. If you're in agreement, bring it back to the table for, with a resolution. But like I said, personally, I want those caveats in there. And of course, we'll discuss it then.
Mayor,
Yes.
I don't believe, and please correct me, Frank, if I am mistaken, I don't believe you can sort of commingle one with the other. I think the resolution, if we do bring it back at the will of the commission, would be strictly for the authorization or for the execution of the interlocal agreement on the jurisdiction of the roads. Then, following that, if we receive a formal letter of award with an amount of money, we would need a resolution accepting those dollars from Transportation Planning Organization for the purpose of the traffic study. I
What-
think both,
Okay, let's take
both
it.
items should not be contemplated in the same resolution.
Okay, yeah, but to me, okay, let's say we sign the agreement, okay? Then we're done. They can come back and they say, you don't get any money. So, I don't see
I understand.
and again, I'm not trying to be difficult because like Vice Mayor Rodriguez mentioned, You know, we work with the county all the time. We have a great relationship. But I don't know about you, but I'm the mayor of West Miami. And I guess you're the vice mayor of West Miami and commissioners of West Miami. So, I mean, it's not about getting mad or anything about, I'll give you another example. When we were adamant about bringing the building department to the city of West Miami to help the citizens of this city that unfortunately got frustrated going to the county and pulling a permit because of the distance, because of, I mean, and I can give you personal experience. I'm a registered architect since 1994, okay? And I have to deal with the county. And lately, I had a couple of restaurants that have taken forever. I mean, so things happen, and what we did, the citizens of West Miami have been very, very happy that we brought the building department here, and
It's a
they can
service.
expedite.
It's a
it.
service.
Typically what happened was, they went to the building department to pull a permit, they couldn't get a permit, they came back, they built it illegally, and then we got hit with code enforcement. That's not happening anymore. People are happy. It doesn't take that long, they can talk to, they just drive a couple of blocks and they can come over here, knock on the door and get a permit, So, and I remember, when that process happened, something very similar happened. They said, well, no, we can't give you the building department because we have an agreement. I remember we kept asking for that agreement, and that agreement was never there. As a matter of fact, Mr. Villalobos was very instrumental in the legal portion of implementing the building department, because they kept saying, oh, no, we have an agreement. We can't release it. Well, this one sounds kind of it, we have jurisdiction over the streets and we have all this and all that, but it's like we've been living together, but now we're going to get married. So in other words, we want to, so actually that agreement doesn't exist. So, and again, it's very simple. It's not that difficult. So maybe what we could do is bring it back to the table for discussion. Maybe we can come to some concept, but I don't think we can't just bring it, sign it, and then wait for, maybe we get the money.
When you're done, I have a thought that may
Yes.
help, so we know how to proceed. A question, and this will be for Frankie and and city manager. Besides the ILA, the interlocal agreement that they're asking for, have we provided and done every step of the process to secure this grant? Have we given the county everything they need, except this? Like, at what point are we in procedural, in acquiring or trying to acquire this grant?
I mean,
Have we
frankly,
done everything?
I think at this point, we're kind of at the last step. We gave them a
Right.
scope and a fee and
So we're still giving them things that they're asking for?
Yes, yes.
So we haven't completely complied with everything they're asking. Besides this.
everything that they've asked for, we've already provided.
We've submitted everything that they have asked for.
So we're at the point right now that this is the only thing that's left.
Right,
That they're asking
unless
for.
there are questions to what we have submitted.
Right.
We don't know that yet.
If
We
there are
don't know that
questions or
yet.
clarifications.
So there could be still more involvement in this process.
Yes.
There could be.
There could
There
be.
could be more questions back and forth on this, on the scope of the work and the
Okay,
budget
okay.
and
Yeah. So-
the deliverables.
Okay, so with that said, I believe we should continue the process of trying to secure this grant. Let this city engineer, city manager go through if they have any questions, answering the questions, and get at least that far into the process before we even consider this, because there's still things to be done. And that will give us time to perhaps get that list of municipalities. There's still things to be done before we get to this point. This is the last thing that I think we should entertain, simply because it wasn't asked of us at the beginning. And personally, I don't like doing business with, I'll only do this if you do this. I don't like doing business that way. So with that said, and Commissioner Suarez, unless I completely misunderstood what he said, what Commissioner Suarez said, his correlation between the interlocal agreement and the traffic study was completely off. It was very misconstrued, the understanding. So I do, just to set the record straight, I don't believe that explanation was how it fits together at all. One didn't come before the other. The traffic study is not required for the grant.
No.
So I just wanted to be sure if that's my understanding, that I set the record straight as far as that. I'm done.
Mayor, may I clarify, because I know Commissioner Rodriguez do not understand me very well. I do not explain me well enough. The way is this: in order to get any in this interlocal, in order to sign this or to proceed with this, you have to have a traffic study.
Mr.
to proceed in the
Commissioner, I
future.
hate to disagree with that. Is
Well, may I
not
finish?
correct.
May I fin-
Yes,
may I
but that's
finish?
not
May I
correct.
finish? And then all these maintenance, you can see the reading the contract, amendments, maintenance, termination. There is a clause for termination of this. All this is here. But the point is that we have to do like other cities does. We have, in order to get with the county any agreement for the traffic and for all these signs, the county have jurisdiction over the signs. We have jurisdiction in our roads, in our streets. But when they try to get in agreement with the city, one of the first things they need is a traffic study to implement this local, right? That's one of the things you hear in the contract.
Commissioner,
Traffic
very
studies
simple.
need.
We asking for money, we're asking for money to conduct the traffic study.
Yes, and
And they,
that's-
no, wait, and they saying, you need to sign this interlocal agreement before we contemplate giving you the money for the traffic study. So it's the other way, it's the other way around.
Because in order to get an interlocal agreement, you have to have a traffic study.
No.
Then you apply
No.
for a grant.
No.
No.
And then
No.
you have a termination clause here.
With all due respect,
Section
Commissioner, that is
15.
not correct. And I want to be sure the record is correct.
Well,
With all due respect,
t-
I'm sorry, but that is
this is
not
not the-
correct.
this is
Would
not the-
somebody support me or somebody
I support you.
Somebody
yes.
explain.
well, this is not a
I don't want it to
contract.
come from me, I want it to come from an expert. Somebody please
No,
explain.
The
Can you
prep-
explain
no,
about
the-
that?
No, the preparation of a study, there's no prerequisite to do a study before the ILA. That's, the ILA stands on its own. It's just an agreement.
Right, and that's why I mentioned, whenever you decide for us to bring it back with a resolution, the resolution should be for each piece. The resolution, if you want to consider the jurisdiction resolution, should be a standalone resolution, and the one accepting the terms and condition of the grant should be another standalone resolution.
It might not be the same day.
It may not be the same day, exactly. I'm gonna reach out to Mr. Camejo, tomorrow, I'm gonna do it in writing. I'm going to resend all the information to make sure he's got it. I'm gonna ask him for a written acknowledgement. I'm gonna ask him for the list of municipalities that have already executed ILAs with the county on the street and the roadway jurisdiction.
No, I'm
Not
not
the
sure that
commerce.
he's gonna get you that. I mean, he's with TPO.
I know.
Yeah.
But he said he could get that for me. I know that that's Public Works,
Yeah.
and perhaps he can, or we can copy Doraida Fernandez or Director Alice Bravo or Claudia Diaz and those individuals that have worked with us in trying to seek, an agreement between the city and the county. So let me reach out to all these folks tomorrow. I do have to devote the next 2 days strictly to the presentation or the submittal of the budget, which you will have by Friday afternoon, to give you sufficient time to work on that. However, I will make it my business first thing in the morning to reach out to the county, and I will copy everyone on the email.
Perfect, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Mayor, I want to clarify, this is not, that was make a motion. This is not an agreement to get a grant. This is an interlocal. Now, in the mechanics of the interlocal, inside is the local, the traffic study. If you read the whole thing, you will see there what they asking for. But this is not the contract asking specific for the body. But anyway, you read it, the whole thing, like I did before.
I did,
If-
sir.
If
And
I,
let me
if I
tell-
may,
I did.
I think what you're alluding to is there in the section in the ILA where it discusses the process for getting approvals on traffic calming devices going forward, where, yes, we do need to provide a traffic study to get,
Right, they need for the
to get
comment,
things
that's
approved.
it.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of this interlocal.
No,
Yeah, but
that's once it's in
that's
place.
kind of, it's a different
Well, but
animal.
Part of this interlocal is the devices.
Yes.
And that's why they asking for a traffic study. But it's part of the mechanics of the contract.
Okay,
All
I
right,
want
go
to,
ahead.
I want to move forward with this. Okay, very simple question. Do you want to discuss this again, yes or no?
Yes,
Okay, so continue the discussion.
yes.
Okay, so, Mr. Attorney, but,
The first item on the agenda would be this, there's a motion on the table. It's either second or turned down, number one. Number two, you want to reconsider it, yes, and then we just will go ahead and prepare the resolution, and you will approve the resolution or will not approve the resolution.
Mr. Attorney, if I may, there is no reason for a motion.
There's no
my-
motion.
My
This-
motion was dead, it died.
Okay,
My
fine.
motion died,
So-
no second.
Well, I didn't hear that, so I apologize.
But the
Well,
motion
but-
itself was
but there's-
inappropriate. There was
this
no
is-
reason for a motion.
This is for discussion, so there's no
That's
reason.
that's why I said, but there was
Okay.
a motion, since they said the motion, I just needed to put it on the record. There's
Okay.
no motion, so therefore, you will reconsider it, we'll bring out a resolution, and you will approve the resolution, not approve the resolution after you hear that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay,
Okay.
There's just so that I could add to this, there's a July 18th meeting. I don't believe that we will have a full response from them at that time. So if we can set something up for the second meeting in August, and obviously Mr. Penna will follow through with what I leave, and I copy him in every correspondence, so he's up to speed. So let's set it aside for the second meeting in August and bring the items back with follow-up correspondence from the county.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Madam Clerk, any other item, or shall we go back to the order of agenda?
I recommend, Mr. Mayor, going back to the original order of the agenda.
Okay, then in that case, it will be item 4.
Yes, item 4, report of the city manager.
Budget, budget, budget. So no other report. Thank you all, and in anticipation of the budget submittal, thank you all for spending the time to meet with me, with Mercedes and Juan about the budget, and some of you have made it 2 and/or 3 rounds, so I truly appreciate it. I will do everything in my power to have it out to you by the end of the business day on Friday, or possibly a little bit later Friday night. There's a lot that goes with a presentation of the budget. As you are aware, we like to give you a lot of information. So whatever we do, obviously, is backed up by the justification. I want you to feel free to call me at any time, whether it's after July 30th or not. And if you have any questions, I have worked very closely with Mr. Penna and Mrs. Leon. They will be sitting here presenting the tentative budget following our preliminary submittal during the month of September. And I will be sitting in the audience in the event that anything comes up that requires Mrs. Leon or my attention. But do feel free to call me over the weekend if you have to, if you have any questions, as you make some notes. This is the preliminary process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item?
Item 5, report of the city attorney.
Most of the time, clients do not realize what goes behind the issues that are in court. And the ones that sweat the issues are the attorneys that later have to come and report to the commission or to their own client what have been going on. Even though it has not been in the press lately, and even though it had not been discussed at the commission, and even though there had not been any outburst from the public, the red light cameras still went on and on and on and on. If you remember correctly, originally we had been sued not once, but hundreds of times. And we were part of a lawsuit that could have cost the city quite a bit of money. We insisted and negotiated with the company that even though it was contrary to our contract, that they were going to pay 100% of the cost of attorney's fees and costs of the litigation. The litigation went out all the way out to the Supreme Court of the state of Florida. And parallel to that, there was another litigation that had been filed in federal court before Judge Federico Moreno. So both things have come out to a conclusion, and the conclusion is that that case, first of all, went last week to the Supreme Court of Florida, and Justice Kennedy, Parente, Lewis, and the rest voted in our favor. So therefore, as far as the red light cameras, a sword that we had on top of our head is dead. So therefore, I'm free to tell you that we were successful, and it did not cost the city of West Miami a penny. Now, parallel to that, there was a lawsuit before Judge Federico Moreno, and we just got word today that Judge Federico Moreno issued an order dismissing that case. So for the second time today, I have to report that not only the state court, but the federal court have killed the red light cameras. And again, the federal lawsuit did not cost the city of West Miami a penny. Okay?
Thank you. Excellent news. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item?
Item 6, report of the city engineers.
No report.
Thank you. Next item?
Item 7, for community reports.
I have no report tonight.
Nor do I.
Okay. Next item?
No reports. Items 8, citizen presentation. No presentations, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Next item?
And then next item will be item 10B, which is a report by the city manager regarding possible insurance coverage for members of the city commission to participate in the city's insurance program post-service. This is by city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, I've been very tied up with the budget process. You've asked me some questions on this matter that I'm not prepared to answer at this time. So I would actually ask for a deferral on this item until we have all the information that you have requested and that others have requested on this item. And we'll bring that up at a later date.
Okay. Thank you. Next item?
Yes, item 11, I'm sorry, 10C. This is a report and recommendation by the Office of the City Manager regarding the selection of a backup caterer as required by the Alliance for Aging, as may be required as a result of a natural disaster, and request for resolution authorizing construction catering as the emergency backup caterer. This is by City Manager. It was brought by Dr. Lourdes Martinez, our nutritionist for the West Miami Community Center.
Before, Madam Manager, do you
Yes,
mind
sir.
reading the resolution pending the manager's statement?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 10D, resolution of the mayor and city commission of the city of West Miami authorizing the city manager to accept the recommendation of Dr. Lourdes Martinez, nutritionist for the city of West Miami Community Center, to select construction catering services and the backup caterer in case of hurricane and/or natural disaster only if Greater Miami Catering Service is unable to deliver services to the city of West Miami Community Center, providing for congregate pricing of $2.99 per meal and $3.85 for home delivered meals, providing for this resolution to expire on September 30th, 2019, to coincide with the city's fiscal year and expiration of the existing contract with primary vendor Greater Miami Catering Services, providing for effective date, mayor and city commission.
Thank you. Madam Manager?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing,
Yeah.
Commissioner.
I think we need to clarify that. 2 cents cannot add to a lot.
I'm sorry?
The clerk read $3.85, and it's $3.87.
It's $3.87.
Right.
Okay, corrected for the record, 387. I apologize.
What did I put there?
No, you put it right.
Oh, I put it right.
Yeah, she
So
read it.
I said
Yes.
385?
Now, she was trying to get a break in the
I was
price.
trying to get a discount, you see.
She was trying to work out a discount for
There you
us.
go. Everything that works
Those
up
pennies,
to our
those
favor
pennies
works
add
out
up.
great.
Those pennies add up.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Commission, as you know, our program for the West Miami Community Center is obviously a program that requires a lot of compliance issues and mandates, not only by the Alliance for Aging, which is the funding agency that administers and sets the guidelines for the program, but it's also a program that is overseen by Department of Elder Affairs in Tallahassee. Due to the recent storms and hurricane activity over the last year and a half, the Alliance for Aging and Elder Affairs have concluded that it would be in the best interest of all the agencies to have a backup caterer in the event that there's power outage and Greater Miami cannot service the meals, the home-delivered meals and/or the congregate meals that we give to the senior citizens, even those that we give them in preparation of the storm. They have concluded that it is in the best interest of all the cities and agencies that they fund to have a backup caterer. Part of the work that we contract out to the nutritionist of the program is site inspections, caterer recommendation, meal preparations, menu preparations, and all that has to be approved by the Alliance for Aging. So in light of the recent mandate by the Alliance for Aging, she was tasked by the project director, by Marilyn Mariah, to give us a recommendation and to inspect and visit the sites of catering companies that are on the approved list by the Alliance for Aging. This doesn't mean that we're going to take away anything from Greater Miami. It simply means that we have a backup plan if Greater Miami cannot service the need of our seniors. As such, Dr. Martinez has been to several catering companies, and she has concluded that construction catering could service the clients that we service, meaning the congregate meals and the home-delivered meal, with the same level of service that we're offering them at this time. So she's recommending that we have construction catering as the backup catering.
Talking about construction, they're not in the same block, are they? They're not next to each other. They're not nearby, right? Because if a hurricane hits one of them, it'll hit the other one, and then what?
Good point.
I didn't
Very
see
good
where,
point.
where that question was coming
No.
from. Oh, now I understand.
No.
I
No.
mean, is it geographically?
No, I know that construction catering is in Hialeah, but I do know that Greater
they're gonna
Miami
get
is
hit
not.
over there.
They're gonna get hit over there.
So we made it a backup to the backup.
So, yeah, I mean.
The backup of the backup. So in any event, we're doing simply compliant, we're addressing compliance issues. There's no money involved with the approval of the resolution. It's simply to have a plan in place.
It makes perfect sense. With that said, I make a motion.
Okay. Call the vote.
Yes, Commissioner Suarez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanes?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca? Vice Mayor
I
Rodriguez?
first have a question. Commissioner, do you want a backup to the backup? Or are we okay with this?
Well, we can find a third batter, you know, I mean.
My vote is yes.
Mayor Mujina?
Yes.
5-0, item passes.
MREs.
Go to the order.
It's a great question.
Let me,
Out of order.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to clarify something it was left to be said. When I mentioned that we had been sued hundreds of times, that did not mean that I personally was the lead attorney, because the vendor selected the lead attorney to to actually go to court. However, we did have to not only monitor that, but also create a catalog of every single lawsuit that have been serviced upon us. So we did receive hundreds of those lawsuits, and the lead attorney that handles that was paid by the contractor. I did not get paid at all, so I did not charge either the city or the contractor. I just wanted to clear that for the record, okay? That was pro bono.
Thank you for continuing working for free, Mr. Attorney. Go to the order. Good night. Well, motion, I need a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good night.